Welcome back. You're still watching Network Africa on Channels Television. Now, just before the break, we looked at mosquitoes because it's World Mosquito Day. We've also looked at polio. Now, let's take a look at breast milk banking. Now, what are milk banks is what you might be wondering. Well, it's very simple. Milk banks store breast milk for newborns whose mums cannot breastfeed them. Usually, the banks collect expressed breast milk from pre-screened mums who have a plentiful milk supply. The collected breast milk is then pasteurized and it's then ready to be given to babies who most need the benefits of the breast milk. Sometimes women lose their lives in the process of childbirth, leaving behind fragile babies, and these are the ones who actually need this kind of supply. Now, in order to cater for children who fall in such situations or categories, groups like the World Health Organization recommend that the next best option should be a wet nurse. Now, if you're also wondering what a wet nurse is, it's a woman who breastfeeds and cares for another woman's child, and wet nurses are employed when the mother is unable or chooses not to nurse the child herself. Now, just here are some quick facts about breast milk banking, which you might not know about if you're hearing this for the first time. It dates back to 2250 BC. It's way older than blood banks, and infant formula caused a decline in wet nursing, but the WHO still agrees that it is the best alternative for fragile babies, like what we told you about concerning children who lose their mothers at birth. And milk banking, despite the fact that it's being contested with formula, still remains popular. Well, Nigeria will be launching its very first breast milk bank soon. And joining me in studio for more on this is Dr. Olayinka Odibo. She owns and runs the African International Baby Care Initiative, also known as AfriBaby in Nigeria. Dr. Odibo, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me here.
It's a pleasure. Now, this is a very tricky one. Why exactly is this being launched in Nigeria?
It's because, like you said, the breast milk still remains the best option for our babies. And research has shown that 40,000 maternal deaths are recorded yearly in Nigeria. So every year you have 40,000 mothers dying. What happens to those babies? And you know that the breast milk has certain things that the formula does not. You know, the formula is just food. But the breast milk is a complex living nutritional food that contains antibodies from the mother, enzymes, hormones, and long-chain fatty acids. And these are things that prevent the babies from having infections and allergic diseases. And those are things that are not in the formula.
Well, despite all these attributes you've mentioned, you will have critics who are still saying, what do we need a breast milk bank for in Nigeria? We can just go and buy any over the counter, basically a milk over the counter, and it will do just as good to the baby.
Yes, the breast milk bank is a vital intervention in baby care. For instance, people have called that they want the breast milk. It's not for mothers that are alive and well. It is for needy babies. The mothers are not alive, or maybe the mothers are incapacitated, and they need to enjoy these benefits. That's why we have the breast milk bank, so that they too can have access to the benefits, and then we can level the access to natural nutrition for babies whose moms are alive and babies whose moms are not.
So how long will it be before we see this launch of the bank?
It's going to be very soon. That's why it's a big project. And when you have a big idea for humanity, what you do is you need to put it out there. You know, let the world hear about it. And that's why we're involving the government, private individuals, private sector, philanthropic individuals, so that we all come together and make it a reality. Of course, we have it in other countries.
Yes, we do. I know in South Africa, it's a very big deal there.
And in Brazil, 210, you know.
210?
Yes, breast milk banks. Yes.
Are you sure they're not mixing it up with the financial banks?
No, the thing is that when you have the statistics, for instance, Nigeria, 40,000 maternal deaths every year.
Yes.
Every year. And then you begin to think, what can we do, you know, to help these babies?
Now, another thing is, how exactly are you going to screen people who actually do the donating of the milk, which is the the center of this project?
Yes, thank you for that question. We're working with professionals. We're working with lactation experts. You know, we're working with laboratory technicians. You know, we're working with pediatricians. So experts are coming together. They're going to check. There's going to be screening. You know, we even have people who are offering. So, but you don't just donate.
Yes.
You're going to assess you. You know, you're going to register. We are going to check. You know, you're going to have a blood test so that we make sure that you don't have infections there.
Yeah.
Even the milk will be tested so that we check the bacteria counts.
Yeah.
You know, so that we make sure that everything is okay before you give it out. And like I said, they are for needy babies.
Yes, I understand.
Yes.
What about, how do you preserve them? Because this is the breast milk bank,
Yes.
so obviously you're going to preserve them.
Yes.
How do you ensure that they are still in good condition for these needy babies?
Yes, while you were introducing the topic, you've actually said it. The key word there is pasteurization.
Yes.
And like I told you, experts, people who specialize in that, you know, are working with us, you know, to get it screened and to get it preserved. You know, that's why you have the storage tanks. You actually have different layers, you know. You have the storage.
Oh, it's in storage tanks?
Yes, you have the storage tanks. You have the laboratory where the lactation experts are going to be working with the laboratory technicians, you know, to screen, you know, and make sure that first of all, the mother is in good health, and of course, the breast milk has, you know, these nutrients.
So how far have you gone anyway? Because I know you say the launch will be soon. I wish you could give me an actual date, but how far have you gone? What kind of support are you receiving?
Yes, the first stage is public enlightenment, which is what we are doing.
Yes.
Because actually what we are doing now is to tell the world that Nigeria is ready to have the you know, breast milk bank, which other countries are enjoying. And then you take it out there, because many people do not know about it,
yes.
and they don't know what it's all about. But when you educate people, then they now come together. Like, since the thing went out, we'll be receiving calls. You know, so that's the stage we are in now. We need land, you know, we also need the structure. And for every baby, it's not just money. You don't even need to give us the money. If you have the land, let us have it. If you want to put up the structure, we have the technical partners, you know, and we are ready to move on with the idea, but it's a big project.
It is a big project.
And that's why we're putting it out there, right there, for everybody to know.
Wow, this is,
Yes.
thank you so much. I've been speaking with Dr. Olayinka Odibo. She is the owner of Afri Baby Initiative in Nigeria. She's been telling us about the upcoming breast milk bank in Nigeria and enlightened us very well, I must say. Thank you very much, Dr. Odibo.
Thank you so
now,
much.
just like what I told you before the break, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and for that reason, Oscar-nominated documentary filmmaker Hubert Soper has opted to capture the South Sudan crisis in pictures in his latest film tagged "We Come as Friends."
The South Sudan crisis is almost 2 years old, but it took Austrian documentary filmmaker Hubert Soper 6 years to create his latest film, largely set in the world's newest nation. The poverty, injustice and exploitation that Soper encounters is packed into a 2-hour-long visual journey that he documented while flying around in a self-built plane from village to village.
But it's an ironic title, and "We Come as Friends" is probably the most consequential lie of our civilization. It's the first line that you know, explorers would have said to the Congolese when they got there, or to the Incas or the Aztecs 500 years ago.
The mantra of the film, according to Soper, is quoted by Mark Twain. History does not repeat itself, but it does rhyme. While the new superpowers, China and the United States, are not the slave traders of the 15th century Europe, the narrative has stayed the same.
China.
The representing the light, the moral standards, the superiority, the technically evolved, etc. And we have to bring those people up, which is a terrifying demon from colonialism, you know. And we carry this, and the point I made in my film "We Come as Friends" was that this demon of thinking is inside of people's you know, DNA.
The heartbreaking irony is ever present in the film. At new schools that teach native children how to write and read, they also get bullied for wearing traditional garments instead of school uniform. SALPA's intention is not to unveil the injustice inflicted upon Africa through the film, but rather make viewers think about themselves and their own colonial predisposition.
It's more about figuring out, it's like a psychoanalysis of our own thinking.
We Come as Friends won the Special Jury Prize for Cinematic Bravery at the Sundance Film Festival last year. It opens in theaters across the United States in August.
Now, we asked you about your thoughts on Egypt's new anti-terror law, and that was as at the last time we threw out our question of the day, and the top tweet of the day, it came from Adeshokwe Nurain, and he says the law is okay. In fact, I expect the Nigerian government to enact such law and many more in our country. We want to say thank you very much for your feedback, and please keep them coming. Now, based on that note, here is our question of the day. We're asking what your thoughts are on the breast milk bank being launched in Nigeria. If you want more information about that, you can just check out that website right under the question of the day. That's www.afribaby.org. If you've got anything that you want to know about this new development, feel free to also reach out to us either via email or Twitter. The address and handle are right there on your screen. As always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for watching Network Africa right here on Channels Television. I'm Cynthia Are.